Good afternoon. My name is Marty Abdo, and I want to say first thank you to Katie Wilson for giving me this opportunity to give a short presentation demonstration on a cognitive process that I developed back in November of 2009. It's called OPA for mental health. And this is a process that I teach as groups at a hospital I work at called Harborview Mental Health and Addiction Services and Harborview Medical Center in Seattle, Washington. I run groups 5 days a week on inpatient, and also there's a group that runs on outpatient once a week. What we do in group is we help people switch from the emotional state to the logical state of thinking. It's like another form of CBT. It's a simple 4-step process in which we run through naming a stressor, organizing supportive thoughts, prioritizing using numbers, and then acting by following the numbers in numerical order. I want you to keep in mind that this 4-step process can also be used to manage overwhelming stressors and also create daily structure, achieve goals, and get needs met with providers, case managers, social workers, and also with your loved ones. Today, I just demonstrated, have everything written out for how to manage one of my own personal overwhelming stressors. I know a lot of us can relate to this, the COVID-19. I am an essential worker at the hospital, therefore I am not able to have the luxury of staying home each day. So I've had to come up with my own supportive ideas and how to deal with something that is out of my control. The value of this 4-step process is it offers hope by coming up with all these different supportive ideas, and also it leads to empowerment, validation around the stressor, and it just overall leads to taking action by engaging with this process. So I'm going to quickly just run through this just so that you have a taste of how OPA works in serving our population of those who live with mental illness and or addiction. Here we go. So the first process that can be the most challenging is just naming it, giving it a title, naming it your stressor. So writing it down. By writing it down and putting it in your own words, capsulizing it, takes the power out of that stressor, eliminates a lot of the fear, frustration, angst that often a person feels in their mind. So we want to encourage the person to write it down instead of just talking about it. I found by doing this process now for myself since 2009, this is still the most challenging piece, is getting the stressor written down instead of just stewing or having it ruminate in my mind or talking it over with people. So I want to teach others how to get themselves to switch from that emotional state to the logical state by taking that first difficult step of grabbing a piece of paper, a notebook, and just writing down in their own words in a phrase what is stressing them out. Then from there, the O in OPA stands for organize, random supportive thoughts. So supportive is the key word there. I have to always encourage people to leave out any negative thoughts. Only supportive words can be written down, one supportive thought on each line. Not essential to fill out multiple lines. There's a worksheet that I provide in a guide and also on my website. But even if they just write down one supportive thought, it's better than any of the negative thoughts that may be going through their mind when dealing with an overwhelming stressor. So after they've been able to just take some deep breaths, switch from the sympathetic to the parasympathetic, and that will generate some supportive thoughts, draw and pull from their own wealth and knowledge. People know themselves best. They just need encouragement to actually pull from themselves instead of always reaching out and looking to support systems to come up with those ideas. There's nothing wrong with getting support from professionals. I highly encourage it, especially if someone is feeling stuck. But we need to start learning how to draw from ourselves and then collaborate and get ideas from others. But overall takeaway is they need to write the words down in their own words so that they can understand those words and lead to action, which will come later on in this process. The third step is prioritize. So when we come to prioritizing, what's unique about this is we give it a number. We give it number 1 equals the most supportive idea. So that's what we've written here. 1 equals the most supportive idea for reducing stress around the title. So whatever you've written down on your worksheet, for me it was the COVID-19. I just needed to name it, came up with all my supportive ideas that could help reduce stress. But then I need to work through this process of being very honest with myself. What 24/7 is going to help me in any situation bring major stress down around that thing that's in my title. I said washing my hands often was something that I knew would definitely help me. And then I mentioned some other things like avoid touching my face, wearing a mask, and just getting more facts, new facts about the virus. Those were like my top 4 or 5 things that helped me a great deal. I have all these other things generated, and again, I go through the rest of the numbering process. Just because I have this as number 8, texting with my family, it's the thing that I'd probably engage with the least, but it's still a supportive idea. So having as many supportive ideas written down is what's really essential with this process and offers us hope when we're under a great deal of stress. The last step is action. With that process, it just means engage with this worksheet. It means you've done all the work of actually taking time to think, process, name it, put it in your own words. You come up with your own supportive ideas or grab supportive ideas from other people that you really like and want to engage with. You've taken the time to prioritize and be honest with yourself. Now all you have to do is engage with that worksheet, follow the numbers in numerical order. What you'll notice is I've used decimals in that numbering process, like the 1, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. What happened there is sometimes when we're prioritizing, there's avoidance that goes on, and we may just not always notice what those top priorities are. We can go back and reprioritize a little bit, and what that does is it leads to things being more fluid, and with the decimal system, things are linked, and they can show like 1, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3 are of similar priority or value. So you can always add on more things and use decimals to avoid racing numbers. And so with the action, you're actually going to follow through with all the numbers until you feel that a great deal of stress has reduced. The whole point in reducing stress, as all of us know, is reducing stress increases health and wellness for our mind, body, and spirit. So the overall takeaway with Organize, Prioritize, and Act, OPA, is that we're using the 4-step process to really reduce stress, not so much solve the problem or fix the problem or save a person from a situation. It's really to empower the individual, to get them to generate those supportive ideas, to put them more in the driver's seat. We want them to recognize that not all things in life can be fixed, or a lot of things are out of our control, but we do have power in reducing stress and thinking more logically and actually be able to take action in our recovery process in a very positive way. So this is just one example. Lots of examples of different stressors that we encounter in group are lost housing, change in medications, lost employment, struggling with relationships, suicidal ideation, hearing voices, just to name a few. But again, it's all about being able to name it, switching out of that emotional state to the logical state, and them learning to come up with the supportive ideas, them being able to prioritize what works for them, not what we think works for them, and then for them to do that hard step of really engaging with the worksheet, whether it's something they put on their phone, saving it in a file, or maybe they have the worksheet saved in a folder or in a notebook. But it will have to be something that they pull out and engage with on a regular basis until this process helps them change the behavior around the stressor. The reason it's very similar to a CBT technique is we're learning to rewire those neural pathways, and we're learning to think more positively around those old patterns. So we're creating new supportive thoughts around those old triggers, and we're learning to engage in a very supportive, positive way. And that's whether they're old stressors or even new stressors in our lives. Thank you once again for this opportunity, just to share briefly how this process works. Again, keep in mind this can be used for multiple stressors, daily structure, creating and achieving goals, getting needs met with providers, social workers, and case managers, and also with loved ones. I go into more depth with this process around all 5 when running groups. Okay, thank you, and look forward to speaking with you soon, and have a great day.